Zero product property. In this video, you'll learn why dividing by a variable to solve a quadratic equation isn't a good strategy. And you'll also learn how to find solutions to quadratic equations when one side is a product of factors and the other side is zero. The zero product property states that if the product of two factors is zero, then at least one of the factors must also be zero. So if we have an equation like a times b equals 0, then a must be 0, or b must be 0. So let's look at some examples using this property. We'll find the solutions for each quadratic equation. The first one is x minus 3 times x plus 2 equals 0. So if we have a factor of a and a factor of b, then one of them must be 0 for the entire equation to equal 0. So we'll set both factors equal to 0 and then solve for x. We'll start by adding 3 to both sides, and this gives us x equals 3. On the next equation, we'll start by subtracting 2 on each side, which gives us x equals negative 2. So x must be 3 or negative 2 to make this equation 0. The next equation is x minus 3 times x plus 11 equals 0. So we'll set each factor equal to 0 again and solve. We'll start by adding 3 to both sides, which gives us x equals 3. And then we'll subtract 11 on the next equation to give us x equals negative 11. Our next equation is x times 2x plus 11 equals 0. So we'll set each factor equal to 0 again. The first equation is already solved for 0. So we'll start solving on the other side by subtracting 11 on each side. This gives us 2x is equal to negative 11. Now we'll divide both sides by 2, which gives us x is equal to negative 5.5. And in this equation, we have x times x plus 3 times 3x minus 4 equals 0. This time we'll have 3 equations that we'll set equal to 0. The first one is already solved. So we'll start by subtracting 3 on each side of the equation on the second example, which gives us x equals negative 3. Now we'll solve our last equation. We'll start by adding 4 to both sides, which gives us 3x is equal to 4. Now we'll divide both sides by 3, which gives us x is equal to negative 4/3. Let's look at another example. We have seen quadratic functions modeling the height of a projectile as a function of time. Here are 2 ways to define the same function that approximates the height of a projectile in meters t seconds after launch. We can see that the first equation is in standard form and the second equation is in factored form. Which way of defining the function allows us to use the zero product property to find out the height when the object is 0 meters? Since this one is in factored form, we can set each parenthesis equal to 0 to solve. So without graphing, we'll determine at what time the height of the object is 0 meters. So we'll take the equation that we decided would be easier, and we'll set each equation equal to 0. We'll start solving by adding 3 to both sides, which gives us negative 5t is equal to 3. And then we'll divide both sides by negative 5, which gives us t is equal to negative 3/5. Now we'll solve the other equation by adding 6 to both sides, and we get t equals 6. So the object would hit the ground at 6 seconds and negative 3/5 seconds. Now we're going to find the solutions to this equation where 10 minus x times 3x minus 9 equals 0. We'll set each parenthesis equal to 0 and solve. We'll start by adding x on both sides. This will allow our x to become positive by moving it to the other side. So this gives us 10 is equal to x. Now we'll add 9 to both sides on our second equation, which gives us 3x is equal to 9. Now we'll divide both sides by 3, which gives us x equals 3. So let's look at one more example. We're going to solve each equation by using the zero product property. We'll start with our first equation, and we'll set each parenthesis equal to 0. Adding 6 to both sides will give us x equals 6, and then subtracting 5 on both sides of the other equation will give us x equals negative 5. Now let's look at our second equation. So we'll set each parenthesis equal to 0, and we'll add 3 to both sides on our first equation to get x equals 3. On the next equation, we'll add 6 to both sides, which gives us 2/3 x equals 6. To get rid of the 2/3 as the coefficient, we're going to multiply both sides by its reciprocal of 3/2. This will give us x is equal to 9. Now let's look at our last equation. So we'll set each parenthesis equal to 0. We'll start by adding 15 to both sides. So this gives us negative 3x equals 15. Now we'll divide both sides by negative 3, which gives us x is equal to negative 5. On the next one, we'll subtract 7 from both sides, which gives us x equals negative 7. So now we've solved all of our equations. To summarize what we've learned, the zero product property says that if the product of two numbers is 0, then one of the numbers must be 0. And when a quadratic expression in factored form is equal to 0, we can use the zero product property to find its solutions.